warning as it works its way over here towards, this is where 98, comes down Greeno Road through Fairhope and then turns along 98 here. Oak Hollow Farm is right here. Of course, Fish River goes up through here. Magnolia Springs is here, the Barnwell community. So all these areas right here are going to be impacted by what's a very strong rotating thunderstorm at this point, possibly with a tornado approaching you here along the eastern, once again, the eastern shoreline down here south of Point Clear. Now, if you're in Fairhope, this is going to go south of you, okay? If you're basically in Fairhope proper, this is going to go south of you. This looks like it's going to come basically right on through here. So that scenic highway that goes south of Battles Wharf there in Point Clear, and then it becomes Highway 1 as it makes that turn at Mullet Point. And there's the Barnwell community. Of course, Oak Hollow Farm is right about there. This is the area that we're concerned with here as this approaches. It's a very strong circulation, and we've seen this a number of times in the last several days where we've had these spin ups here, and they've done a number of areas have had damage last several days across our area from these that we've seen spin on up. And once again, we've got another one here that is right now directly over the middle of the bay, showing a very strong circulation. Jennifer, if you could, Jennifer Lambers is here with us as well. I want her to go ahead and put up the reflectivity, show you that once again there's heavy rain with this as it's moving in. There's the Middle Bay Lighthouse. So where this little notch is, that's also likely where we're seeing that rotation. So right where that little notch is likely where we're seeing the rotation as it approaches the eastern shore. And look at all the lightness. So the rain is already there. The rain is already coming down sideways here along the eastern shore there along Scenic 98 and down Highway 1 at Mullet Point. Also a ton of lightning, and that lightning is already there as well. But the area with the circulation is not on shore yet. It's right about here, so it's still just a bit offshore where that is going to be coming in once again into that area along Highway 1, Mullet Point, there along the eastern shore. So heavy rain, lots of lightning, circulation there with a possible tornado. Now, anytime you have a severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm as it is, there's always possibilities of tornadoes spinning up within these, and that looks to be the case here. Very strong thunderstorm, the possibility of a tornado, and heading over towards the eastern shore once again. So once again, picking it out there on our velocity. What this does, the radar can tell how strong the winds are. It can also tell which directions the winds are moving. And you got these bright reds and bright greens right next to each other. That means it's doing like this. So there's circulation there. There's spin. And the quandary is that getting down to the surface? And with it being that strong, there's a good likelihood that it is. So that's what we're keeping a very close eye on right here. Once again, County Road 1. So you have Scenic 98 that comes down through Point Clear. Then as it makes that turn at Mullet Point, it becomes County Road 1 and heads down towards Pelican Point. So Mullet Point, Pelican Point, and then you got the community of Barnwell, which is right there where 98 makes that turn south of Fairhope. Once again, in Fairhope proper, you're not going to be impacted by the circulation. Now, you're getting a good thunderstorm, but you're not being impacted by the strongest part of it. If you're on the south side of town, you're going to be awfully close to this, so you need to be paying attention, taking shelter. If you're out there around Point Clear, some of those neighborhoods in and around Point Clear, this is going to be coming awfully close to you, so be paying special attention to it. Also all the way down to Pelican Point, Weeks Bay, Magnolia Springs, Fish River, all these areas, once again, going to have to be watching out for this storm as it rolls on in. Once again, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning. Jennifer, let's go ahead and get back to the reflectivity. I want you to kind of take people around maybe a little bit of a wider view of what we're experiencing here with some of these storms around the area.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Matt. Things are beginning to get active here on the Gulf Coast. Meteorologist Michael White and I have already been tracking some of these tornado warnings earlier this morning, just closer towards Escambia County, Alabama. Things turned a bit quiet. We had that lull in activity, but now things are ramping up. And so just looking closer towards Mobile County, beginning to see more of that heavy rain beginning to push in just closer towards Dawes, Theodore area, Irvington, Grand Bay, Bayou La Batre, Coden. You're finally starting to see some of that relief, but more showers and thunderstorms possible heading later on into today. Taking a look over southern Mobile Bay, that's where we're keeping a close eye on this. The Daphne Spanish Fort area, you're not going to be included in what potentially would be this tornado warning that again could potentially be coming for southern Baldwin County, right where we start to see just a little bit on that southern side there. Go ahead and get the pointer right here. Right here is where we're keeping a close eye on that rotation that's over Mobile Bay. So potentially already a water spout that's churning up the southern bay portion, beginning to push closer towards the Barnwell community, very southern Fairhope, Point Clear area, and that'll continue just to track further towards that easterly track. Mainly could include Fish River, Magnolia Springs, Foley area. So again, Daphne, Spanish Fort, Loxley area, you're not quite included in that. Still expecting more showers and thunderstorms to be pushing your way, and that doesn't mean your threat is done for today. This is only one round of many. Once you start to see some relief, more showers and thunderstorms are possible later on this afternoon and this evening. We're continuing to track that potential right here on Fox 10. We are live streaming right now on our Fox 10 Facebook page in case you are wanting to monitor there, plus also all of our streaming apps at this time. Also something else to keep in mind, we're in summer break right now. It's a federal holiday for many. Just make sure you're checking in on your kids in case you're at work, in case they're at home. A lot of kids home for the summer. Just make sure that they know what to do in this situation, since it isn't quite a tornado warning just yet, but still potential rotation over southern Mobile Bay, heading closer towards southern Baldwin County, really the Point Clear, Fish River area, Barnwell community. So do be cautious there. Check in on friends, family that you may have down there, your kids, in case they're also home for summer break. But again, in case you're just now joining us at this time, what we're keeping a close eye on in southern Baldwin County, just closer towards Barnwell, southern Fairhope, Fish River, the Summerdale community, all of that rotation just over southern Mobile Bay at this time, tracking really to the east at this point. It's kind of hard to get a track on what that rotation is tracking towards, just because it's wanting to move around just a little bit there. But the National Weather Service did just message not too long ago that they're monitoring this. So if you're really the northern portion of Fairhope, things are looking better. But if you're in that southern portion that gets closer towards Barnwell, the Point Clear area, that's when you need to go ahead, stay weather aware for today. But have a way to get warnings as we make our way into the remainder of your Monday, because like we've been saying, expecting the potential for more of this by this afternoon and this evening. No official tornado warning at this time. I keep seeing the follower count continue to rise here, so we're just keeping you updated. Gulf Shores area, I did get a question about that. Things look okay right now, but we're going to continue to check in as we do make our way. Matt?
Yeah, I want to bring up some of the DOT cameras there if we can, at the causeway on the eastbound side, where the causeway and the Bayway come together, while reporting some water on the road, and it looks like you might be dealing with some slowdowns there. So once again, on the causeway, we're starting to get some overwash there and some flooding on the eastbound Bayway ramp. So going up to the ramp there, which is typical. That was one of those spots that always floods. That water comes in over that barrier there, right where you go from the causeway onto the Bayway. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. We'll pull up some cameras on that in a minute. Now, checking out the velocity imagery here. They haven't called a tornado warning on this yet, and I'm assuming it's because it looks like it's broadened out a bit here on the velocity scan, so that is good news here. Hopefully it'll keep broadening out, but even so, we're going to be anticipating some very gusty winds coming in off the bay with that. So right here where you see those bright blues, got winds probably 50, 60 miles per hour. And those are going to be coming on shore here in just a few minutes, right there along County Road 1 Mullet Point here once again. Also down Scenic 98 coming down from Point Clear, the Barnwell community. These are the areas that are going to be impacted by what are going to be some very strong winds coming in off the bay here. You're already getting very heavy rain. You're already getting a ton of lightning here as well. And this is going to continue for a while. So we've been dealing with this, and this is once again these off and on strong to severe storms that we continue to get. And unfortunately, we don't see much of a break in the pattern. We're going to continue to see this sort of thing. Be keeping a close eye on social media. So we also had a tornado in Sandestin a little while ago, and there's some wild video of that going out on our social media pages, so you can check out some of that as well. That was from a little bit earlier. Right now, we're concerned with what we've got going on right here over the middle of Mobile Bay. It has broadened out a little bit. We don't see the tightness there that we saw earlier on this velocity picture. Jennifer, if you could you put the reflectivity back up to, well, there's a new volume scan of the velocity. You can really see those are some strong gusty winds. So it doesn't show as tightly as it did before. We may not be seeing a rotation here, but we are seeing some very strong winds. And that pocket is going to be coming in right there around Mullet Point, where we're going to see some of the strongest winds, and Jennifer's really zooming down. So that's right there along Mullet Point there, Yupon Avenue, the Barnwell community. So it's going to come ashore right here with the strongest winds. You can really see the notch here. See that notch? And when we look at the radar, it's right now shooting microwaves through the rain clouds. And what it's seeing is it's not seeing any rain right here. That's where you see this notch. And then usually that happens because the rain centripetal force literally gets spun out of it when you have a circulation. So that's one of the things we're always looking for too. Does the velocity imagery match up with having a notch here and the reflectivity of the radar? And it is showing that. So we still have some circulation there. And look at all that lightning. I mean, it is just going mad out there over Mobile Bay right now. So a big lightning storm right over Mobile Bay. Jennifer's zooming us on down. She got the lightning strikes up there. So over 500 lightning strikes here just in and around this storm, and she doesn't have the entire storm in there. So it just tells you it's a lot. And so this is one that's rocking and rolling here over the bay. Once again, if you're in Fairhope, the worst of the storm is south of you. If you're in Daphne, yeah, you're getting some heavy rain, some thunder, some lightning, but the worst of the storm is south of you. If you're on the Mobile side of things, you're getting a pretty good thunderstorm, but the worst of it, once again, is out over the middle of Mobile Bay. Regardless of all that, driving around is going to be treacherous through any of this at the moment. So here we are coming up to the lunchtime hour, coming up to noon. We want to stay off the roads here as much as possible. Let this storm pass us by, let it fizzle on out. But for now, we're dealing with it. So you just want to stay off the roads. If you're planning on going to lunch at Fairhope, maybe put it off a little bit. Let some of this pass on by. Certainly, if you're going to be trying to be in and around the Magnolia Springs area, even back into Foley and Summerdale, eventually some of this heavier rain is going to work its way up that way too. But once again, the area of concern, okay, we just got to do a strong thunderstorm statement from the National Weather Service. So we're not getting a warning out of this. That's good news. At least it's broad enough to where we're not seeing a tornado warning. But we are going to get some very gusty winds once again right around Mullet Point. Right there through County Road 1, it goes right down through there. So you have Scenic 98 that comes down from Point Clear, and then you have right here, it turns into County Road 1 at Mullet Point, then heads down towards Pelican Point there at the mouth of Weeks Bay. And there it is right here. Has some very, very strong winds. It's just about to come on shore. So this is within a minute or two of coming on shore here now over on the eastern shore along County Road 1, Mullet Point area. You're about to get some wind gusts here, at least of 50 miles per hour, maybe even higher than that, as this slams on shore. Thankfully, we don't have a tornado warning with this, so it's not tight enough for a tornado warning to be called, but we have obviously some very strong winds that are going to come directly off the bay into that area here within just a few minutes. And Jennifer, if we can widen the picture just a little bit here, and so that's where we're seeing the worst storm right now across our area. There's no other winds quite like it as this makes its impact. But the good news is, once again, we don't have a tornado warning at this point. We're coming up to the noontime hour. We're going to keep tracking this for you as we go here past noontime. I want to make sure everybody stays safe here along the eastern shore. If you're watching us from the eastern shore, and once again, we don't want you going outside trying to get pictures of this, although I'm sure there's quite the shelf cloud going on out there right now with this. But we want to stay inside, stay away from that wind gust as it moves on in, as that comes right along County Road 1 there in southern, on the eastern shore, the southern part of the eastern shore, I guess you would call it, down near Mullet Point to Pelican Point, and then up towards Point Clear. If you're up in Fairhope itself, this is going to pass south of you. So once again, if you're in Fairhope proper, this will pass south of you right up through here as it takes into County Road 1, new volume scan right there. That's the Mullet Point is this little bend right there, and that is really right about on top of it at this point. So we're seeing that. There's also some other little circulations here we'll have to keep an eye on as all this comes on in. But this is the main one that we're watching with the very strong wind gusts coming in off of Mobile Bay. So this is an ugly storm, one of many ugly storms that we have seen recently, and we're going to see more in the coming days. We're back into a level 2 again tomorrow. Probably the day after tomorrow, we'll probably be back up into level 2 again. It just seems to keep happening. So this is today's severe outlook. We're level 2 pretty much the entire area. Tomorrow's severe thunderstorm. Thanks, Jennifer. There it is. We're level 2 again for parts of the area. Now, tomorrow, what we're seeing is possibly a little bit more of a coastal issue tomorrow, which is kind of like what we're seeing today, where most of the storms showing up on the Futurecast for tomorrow are more in the coastal areas, and that's what they have kind of labeled out for us here for tomorrow. So this is a continuing thing that we're going to continue to see. Okay, they're still saying from the National Weather Service we still may see a tornado warning for that cell over Mobile Bay. So they are keeping a close eye on it. Basically, each time, see how the radar comes sweeping along? Each time that comes around, that's new information, and they're looking at each one of those scans to see if it's tightening up into a possible tornado. So once again, we're watching this area right here, right through the Mullet Point area, likely coming on in. There's already very heavy rain. The rain's sideways there. There's a ton of lightning. Jennifer just showed us there's over 500 strikes of lightning in the last 10 minutes just in this little area of the storm. And she's putting that up again. I'm thinking there's going to be more. Yep, over 700 lightning strikes here. And that's in about the last 10 minutes or so. And also you can see the heavy rain rate there, about ½ inch per hour, but it's actually going to be higher in some of these pockets here, like right around Barnwell. So heavy rain coming in sideways, lots of lightning. Watching an area of circulation that is about to make its way onshore in Mullet Point. Once it gets into Mullet Point here, it's going to travel across to the Barnwell area, across the Fish River community, and then likely up towards Summerdale, up around County Road 28, County Road 32. These are the other areas that are eventually going to be impacted. Jennifer zooming us down here to Mockingbird Lane, County Road 24. There's Fish River. And Fish River comes in like this off of Weeks Bay, right up through here, twists and turns, and there's a lot of homes along that, and they're going to be right in the path of this very strong thunderstorm here as it continues to work its way on in. And we're continuing to see a lot of lightning as well. You can see lots of lightning here and the pockets of very heavy rain that are falling here in and around the Barnwell area. So once again, we're tracking a very strong cell that is making its way over Mobile Bay into the southern part of the eastern shore, down around County Road 1, Mullet Point, down to Pelican Point, Point Clear. The Grand is right here at Point Clear, and this area is just south of that along Scenic 98, and then Scenic 98 turns into Highway 1 there, County Road 1, right there at the bend, which is Mullet Point. So that's the area of concern, and we continue to watch that. Here's the velocity is showing the very gusty winds, probably those dark blues are. We're getting some very strong winds there coming in off the bay into the Mullet Point area. There's a new scan there. So this is what we're keeping a very close eye on. That's the area that's been of concern here for the last 15-20 minutes. Jennifer Lambers and I have been tracking this, and it continues to be a big concern here as it tracks on in. We know I have a lot of folks that live down here along County Road 1, right there on the bay. When you're right there on the bay, you got those winds that come off the bay like that, there's nothing to stop them. Obviously, there's no trees out there with the bay. It's just flat. You get the full brunt of something like this that comes in off the water and hits those houses that are right there along the water. So they're about to be hit pretty soon by this, once again, very strong wind gusts. Likely seeing at least winds of 50 miles per hour, maybe even higher than that as this works its way on in. That's plenty enough to do damage, to take down trees and big tree limbs and take out power lines. Plenty to do that. Obviously, it's plenty to lift any yard items, debris, trampolines, lawn chairs that have been left out, stuff like that. All of that can be picked up and thrown around when something like this comes on in. So that's what we're watching out for. Once again, we're keeping a very close eye on what the National Weather Service is saying. Right now, it's still broad enough to where we're not seeing a warning out of this. But each time that scan comes around, they're keeping a close eye to see if it does tighten up as it gets closer to shore and whether or not there will be another. Looks like there might be even a little bit more circulation up here as well. So we're seeing a couple of areas that are going to have some very gusty winds, possibility of some circulation there in the atmosphere. Now, just because there's circulation doesn't mean it gets down to the ground. When these big thunderstorms come rolling through, they're moving most of the time fairly quickly. And there's a lot of turbulence along the leading edge of these things, and that can create spin-ups kind of on its own. Right there, once again, we're still watching a very small notch here, so it doesn't look as intense as it was a little bit earlier when I was out over the middle of Mobile Bay. So hopefully it does, but we watch for them they can spin back up just like they can spin down. So we keep a close eye on it as it continues to work its way here right to the eastern shore, right along County Road 1, right along County Road 98. Now, Jennifer, I know they're putting out a little bit more information there on the chat. See what you got here for us as we continue to track this storm from going from Mobile Bay to the eastern shore.
I was going to say, I did receive a photo online from Ben Averett right now. He's at Mullet Point Park on County Road 1, and he was looking out across the bay, and it is extremely low visibility. So even if there was a water spout moving through Mobile Bay, it would most likely be rain wrapped just because of how much heavy rain we're seeing in that area. So just make sure you're being extremely cautious in case you are in that area. Again, check in on your family, check in on your kids in case they're home alone for summer break. Just make sure you're being cautious because regardless of all of this, there is heavy rain pushing through the area, frequent gusts of wind, plus also the frequent lightning and the heavy downpours that we're tracking at this time. Also, earlier today, we had a tornado warning in Escambia County, Alabama. I had a lot of folks messaging saying, hey, I didn't get an alert for that one. The tornado sirens didn't get off. But just a reminder that our warning system here, the counties are so large, so that's why the tornado sirens do not go off, because people in Atmore would have been hearing tornado sirens when they were nowhere near the action of that system. So just make sure you have those government alerts turned on. You can just head on down towards your settings. If you head down to notifications on iPhones, it's at the very, very bottom there. Same with Android if you go to those government alerts under your settings. But luckily, all of our phones now, if you just go to settings, if you scroll up, there's a little search bar at the top, and just type in government alerts there. And that way you can turn them on, and that way it'll ding for any of the cell phone towers that you're near, and you'll get some of those tornado warnings in case you are located in any of those. It's a great thing to turn on for pretty much every single day this week, since we just continue to track the potential for some of these strong to severe storms. But just be cautious in case you don't have to head out anytime soon. I would not do that. Matt.
All right, Jennifer. Yeah, so we're going to continue to track this here for you. Obviously, down here on your screen, download our app so you can get any warnings as they come out. We're going to continue tracking this and letting you know if they do call a warning on this. For now, we're going to let you get back to programming, but please stay tuned to Fox 10 throughout the day. Stay tuned to our social channels, and we'll keep you up to date as we continue to